Traders, welcome to TradeGATEHub. And the metals have been hot for a while. Gold staging new historic high move to the upside. Gold silver ratio has been declining in the last week pretty dramatically with the move in silver. And we're fortunate that I was able to talk Fabi Lara into coming in today. Fabi's a mining analyst, and I've been talking to her for almost a year now, right, Fabi? We've
Yeah,
done
just about that.
a few cycles together, and what's interesting to people are the journeys that people take and how they end up becoming something like a mining analyst that you became. I mean, did you know, say, when you were at the university, that this was something that you were going to pursue later?
Absolutely not, because I didn't go to university,
Oh,
Dale.
all right.
I went to the School of Hard Knocks.
Oh, okay. Well, then, we're both we're both
That
from the
was
same. Yeah.
probably better prep than university. I think it would have thrown me off a bit. But
Okay.
no, I had no idea and no plan to go into, mining investing and just being more involved. Today I write a free newsletter talking about what happened in mining today.
Yeah.
And so I'm very deep into this business. I had no idea going into it that the opportunity would be so enticing for me. And it started off like really small, and it started off with kind of a story of, I was an entrepreneur, have pretty much always been since the beginning of my working career from a very
Yes.
young age. I think it was about 20, 21 years old. I had always in mind that I wanted to be my own business owner. And then I set up an education company online. And as I did so, I lived with my parents and incurred no expenses whatsoever. And as a young woman, I wanted to, do two things with my money. One was travel, the other one was invest, because I always thought, if I invest well enough for long enough, one day I will be able to do whatever I want and travel some more,
Yes.
right? It always goes
Freedom.
back to traveling and being free.
Right.
Exactly. Then I came across at the time a few videos that talked about investing in silver. And I'm like, investing in silver, what does that even mean? You mean actually buying the gold and silver coins? Turns out that's exactly what people were talking about. And there was this whole, storytelling behind it, and actually the history of gold and silver and the ratio,
Yes.
etc. And I fell right into that rabbit hole and went into it with, the few $1,000s that I had at the time. And
I bet
I
silver was cheap then, wasn't it? What was it?
it
Do you
was it
remember?
was actually no, it was actually on its way up, which
Okay.
obviously, as a first timer to investing in general, something is going up in price.
Yeah.
You get more and more excited, and you buy more of it, and you buy into the story more and more. Like, that is confirmation that everything
Yeah.
you're hearing is correct. And
Okay.
so this was 2010, 2011. So
Okay.
I caught like the end, like the final leg of the big blow off top. And then went on to realize that as we slid down in prices and to some extent have not recovered, that
That
there
was
was something
50 at
more
that
to this
high, I think,
industry. Yeah,
right?
yeah. The 50 was the highest that
Right.
it reached in 2011, exactly it. And as it slid down, then the story had to evolve. And then people, that produced content had to start talking about the mining, endeavors. Because they had more leverage and you could still make money from them, yada, yada, yada. So I went down that rabbit hole. And that's how I became involved in mining and learned, enough to lose some money and enough to make some money. But if I've survived this industry for this long, from 2010 to now, I think I'm doing okay.
Were they recommending things like bulletin board and pink sheet issues, very thinly traded, mainly a lot of promo and
Absolutely.
investor relations?
Absolutely.
I did some investor relations for a while, and they
Mm-hmm.
actually pay people to come in and buy the stock and create volume.
Yes.
And that's how when they're able to sell their shares
Yes.
and cash out. So,
And
I mean, yeah,
sometimes the funny thing is sometimes a company will be, this is rare, okay, but it does happen. The company will be unaware that somebody else, a large shareholder, is actually paying a third party for promotion
right.
because they're trying to blow, their
Yeah,
stock position. And like I guess their hands are clean with the regulators, but at the same time, stuff is being done in the background. So I learned pretty quickly, and this is, I think, what attracted me to mining. One is the cyclicality of it, right? So
yeah.
yes, okay, silver was burning hot in 2010, 11, and then it slid down and it was kind of left for dead. Like today, if you talk about silver, unless somebody is short-term trading it, they absolutely hate it within the mining industry. I would say that silver is
That's very interesting.
one of the most hated metals currently, and you could like the almost the only way longer term to make money that has worked within the silver industry has been to make a bet
Just
on a company that's making a new discovery. So that has
okay.
worked fairly well.
Or to be a
Not
broker and
Yeah,
sell
exactly,
physical.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. The
If you're
spreads
selling
got
the
pretty
story,
ridiculous last year. I mean, you're paying
if you're
20%
exactly,
spreads.
if you're
Yeah.
selling a story, then there's always a way to make money. And that's one of the things that has also opened my mind up to, knowing who the players are in the business and understanding what sorts of games are being played,
Yeah.
because this is not your old index investing style where you choose a bunch of stocks, or you go to the index and you just put your money there, so to forget it. Those are real companies that are real brands. They're recognizable. They have real balance sheets. Within the mining world, you have to pay attention to how much paper there is out there. When was the last time they raised? Are there enough people incentivized to hold the stock right now? Are they drilling right now? Are they not going to drill until the summer? And so there are many nuances to it that make a good company very different to a good stock. And I think that's super interesting because so much psychology goes into it, that is what attracted me as well. Not just the cyclicality of going up, going down, etc. But it's like, okay, so a lot of these people who are coming into mining, they're looking at the quality of the project. That's it. I know a lot of people like that. They're the most intelligent people. They look at the quality of the project and they want to ascertain whether this will ever become a mine or not. That's not a game that I like to play in particular because the odds are completely stacked against us. I think it's 1 in 3,000 early stage discoveries actually become an economic mine. I
Wow.
don't like those odds.
Yeah. Let me ask you
And
this, Fabi, do you ever consider that it's important to bet on the jockey, which would
100%.
be the CEO that may have had success in the industry prior and has maybe gotten out of that project and started a different deal?
100%. So if you go back to really most of, I guess, the last 5 years or so, the big successes, except for, like the one-off discoveries that happen almost out of luck, not usually almost out of luck, but the companies that worked out well were companies that belonged to what we call in the mining world as group companies. So let's say there's a very famous, successful investor called Pierre Lassonde, right?
Right.
And
Okay.
he has had a massive track record, and runs Franco Nevada, which is a royalty company in the business,
Yeah.
great business. And then he, has large investments in a few different companies, say a copper company, a gold company, et cetera. So that kind of becomes a group because they usually share back office and structure. They share geological knowledge. So there are some of these groups that we can identify within the mining business. And you look at the winners, from the last 5 years, a lot of them have come from these groups precisely because it's the
Interesting.
serious people that have a great track record. Their cost of capital is much lower than anybody else because they have a Rolodex of people that they can just call and they would be fighting to give them money. and they have the access to the very best technical knowledge. And so it's kind of a market where if you have good people, you're way more likely to have success. I actually made a bet on this, and I bother them so much that they became a sponsor of my newsletter. But there's a company out in Quebec, and let's just put it this way: the family that's working on this project does not need the money. Okay, they have a background in aviation and they're set, but they really enjoy the mining game. And so they were able to negotiate a project that used to belong to the government of Quebec. And they were sitting on it and weren't going to advance it. It cost too much money, etc. They did a great deal on this project. And so now they're drilling as we speak. They've just put out news this morning and they already knew the copper was there, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Because of the previous work that's been done.
Right.
And now they know that the news
How to
flow
extract it.
is going to come. Yes. And so it's different when you bet on the jockey, because if they're somewhat trustworthy and they have the technical knowledge and they have access, whether access to capital or to good, projects, then I'd say 10 to 100 times more likely to really make it into this game.
Okay. You're a bit old school because I believe in past conversations, you go and you are boots on the ground, that you will actually go and visit the mine.
I've only done it, maybe a couple of times. It's very rare that I actually go.
Okay.
I like to go and meet the team. So one way that I do that is when there's a show in Toronto or Vancouver, I like to go to that. To
Okay.
me, sometimes meeting the team is better than meeting going to the
To the mine.
project, right?
Right.
To the mine. There's a lot of kind of, smoke and mirrors that can happen when you're flown out
Yeah.
somewhere exotic, and they serve you good food and they
And
show you
lots of
everything.
alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know the drill, that you're there to be and just sort of enamored by the whole story and the whole thing.
Right.
And they bring out the locals, and the locals all obviously all love the project, and so it's a sales
Sure.
pitch essentially.
Right. Okay.
What I like to do is walk the floor of conferences and then go and ask the neighboring projects, the neighboring companies within that region, who they like, who do they think is doing a good job, who do they think is doing a bad job, because when you're in
They will
a
endorse
country,
competitors.
they will absolutely.
Wow.
They
That's
when
pretty good.
when they have boots on the ground and they see that a next door project is doing really well, sometimes it is to their own benefit to speak highly of them. Because if you think about geology, if you're on a really nice trend and your
Right.
neighbor's doing really well,
Good sign.
you want people to know about that, because you're like, hey, we're next door neighbors, we're
Yeah.
just the continuation of that trend. And so a lot of the times
Yeah.
that information to me is much better than actually going out and visiting a project. It's not bad. I mean, you can weed out a lot of projects by going to them physically, but I like the conference floor better. I can do a lot more and
Okay.
much more quickly.
Well, I believe that the origins of the next big rush, which is what Fabi writes and publishes and is the editor of, was a spark, a flame for uranium. Am I correct?
Yeah, I started to talk about uranium and started to, I guess, gather a following naturally on social media about people that wanted to know more about the the business and how it works. And so, yeah, most of our followers are uranium investors, and these guys and girls, they don't play around. Once you fall in love with the uranium thesis, it's very difficult to not put maybe too much of your portfolio into it. So we're looking at here at Sprott Physical Uranium, and it's going sideways. It's correcting, thank
Okay.
God, after a
That's what I was going to
while.
ask you.
Yeah, the funny thing is the Sprott. So Sprott Physical Uranium Trust is an interesting vehicle because their mandate is to go out there into the spot market, which is, a small proportion of the total market of uranium on a yearly basis, and they go and buy physical material. So they're buying drums of yellow cake. The one of the, I guess, weaknesses of the spot market is that it is not transparent whatsoever. It is literally a bunch of guys calling each other and,
So they
somebody
do
trying
like
to
a
report.
they do like a London gold fix, and that's how I'm getting this price at 27.23.
So that is physical uranium, which is a second layer to it because it's not just the actual physical price, but what people are bidding, the trust that holds the
I
pounds,
got it.
right?
Okay. Yeah.
But when we talk about the underlying vehicle to this, which is the spot market, what we're talking about is sometimes prices. This is the strange thing and why it's so important once you get into commodity trading or commodity investing that you need to understand that particular commodity and how it works. Gold is super liquid and the numbers are trustworthy. It happens in real time. Everything, is pretty transparent. Well, to some extent. But when we talk about uranium, there was a slide in price. I think it was from 90 to 82 very recently. And two hedge fund managers have come out in the last couple of weeks since we last spoke. And they actually said, well, technically that slide in price was a bit of a misnomer because there were no trades that occurred. So the bid and the ask can move, but no real transactions happened, and the price still gets reported as
Wow.
the midterm between the bid and the ask. Which to me, if there's no volume, like that's not a real price, right? That's
Oh,
fairy
yeah.
tale.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say this is institutions playing games so they can get a better price, but maybe that's what I'm saying. We have clearly seen that institutions have come into the uranium market recently. Fidelity, which is, I don't think
Big.
you can get more generalist and big than
Yeah.
Fidelity, has
Yeah.
come into a uranium miner in Namibia at $300 million. And that's just one small example of what's happening. And so you have more sophisticated players coming in and prices, ghost prices sliding down. So take that as you will. No real trades happening, and buyers and sellers holding off and seeing who blinks first. So this is a
Yeah.
strange kind of few weeks within a market that is super exciting. And the more you study about it, the more you get into it, the more you see that long term
Well, the
uranium is
miners
nothing but up.
have traded off of this. You
Yes.
kind of ruined what I was going to say. And last
Sorry.
time we talked, there's no uranium anywhere. There's no supply.
Yeah.
And there's a saying in the industry, there is no better cure for higher prices
Then
than
high
higher
prices.
prices. And then all of a
Yes.
sudden, you go from no supply to some supply.
Yeah.
So has the supply situation changed at all in the last
No,
few weeks?
no, it hasn't, and it's gotten worse. One
Wow.
of the best projects that is supposedly coming online in the next 2 years is situated in Niger. And the news this week, Dale, is that the Niger junta, so the short term government that has, I guess, uh, operated during the coup, they have shunned the United States as their partner and kind of protector as they transition,
Are they going to
which
Russia?
I think
China?
that Russia or China are the only other two options. We don't know exactly what's happening on the ground. But that sent this particular project in a complete, tailspin, and now it's crashing again after the coup. It had actually gotten back to, its previous price before the coup, and now it's sliding down again, and the market is thinking, okay, like, should we completely discount this mine? Is it coming online? Is it not coming online? The uncertainty means that it's going to be delayed no matter what. So whether it happens or not, this is a high grade, large deposit that is not going to be coming online anytime soon because of the political
Right.
mess around it. Because
That's
Adam
another.
from, yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
That's another major consideration is where the mines are at. There are land
Yes,
grabs. There are governments saying, well, we want more taxes.
yes,
There's all
always.
kinds of things where you have risk, geographic risk
Mhm.
based upon that. So, are there countries that you avoid and countries that you feel more comfortable investing in mining shares?
Not in particular, because even in Niger, like I said, I do hold stock in that company that's going up and down and all around it, and being extremely volatile. Uh, if the bet is that they're not going to produce, I want to be the contrarian and say eventually they will, and I'm willing to wait, because the only edge I have is that I'm willing to wait if I really believe that something is going to turn out eventually. And so I'm willing to take that risk
Okay.
time wise. And so
Okay.
there's
Time
nothing that
wise.
there's nothing that I completely avoid, at least within the the uranium producing countries right now, because you're talking about mostly Niger, you're talking about Namibia, you're talking about Canada. Now the United States is also turning back, some of their production, but it's very small.
Okay. So when you say that you're going to wait, I've waited, and at times things get worse. And I would
Yes,
suspect that if they're not producing and they don't have any revenue and their stock is their currency, that they may
dilution.
dilute. And, one of the, I think, dirtiest word in speculation is reverse splits.
Yes, yes, for
Have you
sure.
have you
And
have you experienced that?
I'm actually going through one that is so painful that I need to make myself buy more of a stock because it fits
Wow,
my
you are
profile.
tough.
I have to though, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I can sell it to take the loss and book it against my taxes, but the reality is it fits the my thesis so perfectly that I'd be betraying my own rules by just selling and walking away from it. So this is happening in tin, and tin is also something interesting that I understand a lot less about. Uh, but it's a company that has a resource out, and they're doing a split. But the end result is that they only have 8 million shares out, which when things come back, I'm sure that even with some dilution, that it can be extremely explosive to the upside. And
Okay.
their market cap is a ridiculous, less than $2 million. And so for something like that, I almost feel like I'm buying into a private company.
Okay, well, that sounds a little bit like the Wizard of Oz. The Tin Man wanted a brain. So
Yes.
right now it's a brainless buy. Right now it's a
Yes.
brainless buy. So let's talk about maybe best of breed, like CCJ's trading today.
Yeah.
Back to the 200-day moving average. That's where you try it if you're bullish,
Yeah.
right?
And this is a real test to see if the movement is going to come as a reflection of the games that are being played by the spot market, in the spot market, or if people are actually going to take a look at what is Cameco doing as a company, and what are they selling their uranium for on a long-term basis, which is what they do at the end of the day. This would be a great opportunity for Cameco to come into the spot market and maybe grab some pounds that they need to, top
Okay.
up their own cupboards and contingencies,
And you don't
if
serve,
they can get material. That's
yeah,
the issue.
and you don't serve yellow cake at a birthday party.
Oh man, my birthday's coming
Uh,
up in April, and maybe I'll have a yellow cake just for
well,
the fun of it. I think it's gonna get a lot of clicks if I do that.
all right. Well, maybe it's not that bad turning 24. Um,
I wish.
here's one that you like. Uh, we talked about Dennison.
Dennison.
So
Yeah.
tell us about Dennison. And, I remember looking at it when it was sub dollar. So let's take a long and tell
Dennison
us market view.
Mines it
Yeah.
goes way, way back. Funny enough, the founder of Dennison Mines, way back in the day, uh, he had a son, and then his son is the one running the company that's now in Niger that I said is
Oh,
going through the coup and everything. So this is a family endeavor. But Dennison they have extremely high grade projects in the Athabasca Basin in Canada. So you're talking about fairly good jurisdiction as far as it goes. And you're also talking about projects that are worth a lot of money in this environment. But you're also talking about Dennison using some particular technology that I couldn't even explain to you right now that actually brings their prices even lower compared to a lot of the other companies. And they are, a late stage developer. They want to be producing in the next year, couple of years, whatever the time frame is. And something that I really like about Dennison is their disciplined approach in management. Management
okay. The
has
jockey again. The jockey.
exactly, it goes back to the jockey always, Dale. They actually had they I think they went into the spot market and they bought a lot of yellow cake when the price was down in the dumps, and now they're sitting at I think over $200 million worth of yellow cake that they bought for a lot less money than what they could sell it now. And they're going to use some of that money in order to make their projects cheaper, make their capex smaller, which I think is perfect because right now one of the issues with mining is that any project that you can run any number on any project, and one of the issues you're going to face, well, first of all, what discount rate do you use on a net cash flow basis when you're talking about high interest rates and high inflation, and mining is very risky. So the typical 5% discount, 8% discount should be 10 to 12 nowadays. But that's a different conversation for another day. When you face the realities of building a mining project today, capex is your number one concern. And those prices have become completely insane. So for Dennison to have had the foresight back then
Yeah.
to do that, I think is a testament to their management team.
Yeah. They're like Joseph of the Iranian market that
Yes,
yes,
precisely.
yeah. And he's
7 years
my,
of famine.
yeah. And he's my hero. He's the best commodity
There you
trader in
go.
history. So,
It's true.
I look at this chart, and if we could start getting close, it was already a six bagger from 2020, but over two looks like four is not an unreasonable target. I mean, look at where it was. This must
Yeah.
be when it went public back in 2007 or
I
earlier.
I think it was earlier than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was earlier than that. Maybe they just don't have a history. Bear in
Okay.
mind that in mining, all of those charts should come with a caveat that they've had to dilute
Yeah.
since.
Yeah.
But if you take a look at their projects individually and try to rerun the numbers for market numbers nowadays, they're looking pretty good. Dennison is an easy bet, and it's becoming bigger and bigger. As it becomes bigger, it becomes more friendly towards the people that you want moving the stock, the institutions, the hedge funds, etc.
Okay. So, your first experience in silver, has it kept you turned off? And you also said it's the most hated metal out there among investors. Do you feel the same way and not interested in the silver miners? Or can you
No,
get
I
over
like
that
silver.
scar? Can
I
you get
can,
over
I
that
can.
wound and say
I,
that maybe it's time again?
I still have the coins, Dale. So
Okay,
I
well,
have fond
coins.
memories. I have
Yeah,
fond memories of that. And no, I personally have no problem with silver. I think that one of the difficulties with silver is that there aren't many companies around. There aren't many pure plays of silver. And
Are there more
I
uranium companies around than silver companies?
pure play, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's a surprise to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think that my last count was about 160, 170 uranium companies. There are more coming online now. And I don't remember the number for silver, but the thing with silver, it's very rare to find a silver, even a company with silver in its name, where they make more money producing silver, or even their deposit is more rich in silver than, for example, gold, or lead and zinc, or some other metal like that.
okay. Well, maybe you could give me a comment on a couple that I own in case you know about them. Here's Endeavor. I think that was a pretty nice first wave out of the hole. And down here when I was talking about it and did buy it at 51, it was a theory that we were going to get a rally. Now a pullback, even if it's deep,
Mhm.
like to 170, at least I know where I'm wrong now.
Yeah,
Here, I there was no bottom, so
yeah.
it even makes it a higher probability buy at a higher level than it did
Mhm.
down here. Do you know this company?
I know of it. If you zoom out, what does the story tell you longer term?
Oh, okay, yeah. It got
Because
it got
that's what's
creamed.
interesting to me.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, I
Is
like
that
this
long
even
term
more.
enough?
I
Even
absolutely love this even more. Yeah.
okay. How about a
Um,
weekly? Here's a weekly, 750.
okay, that's awesome. Look, I'm no expert on Endeavor Silver per se, but I think that sentiment in silver is at an all-time low. The gold silver ratio is at an all-time crazy. You could not pay me to believe that we'd be sitting here with gold where it's at and silver where it's at. It makes no sense whatsoever. Now,
Okay,
the only way that you would completely shy away from silver, including by participating in Endeavor or any of the other miners, is to make the statement that you believe that silver is no longer a monetary metal. It is purely industrial and it has completely detached from gold. I think that's the only way that you could say, you know what, throw silver out the window, because everything that silver is telling me is so bearish that it's bullish, if that makes any
okay. No,
sense.
I understand. It's interesting. Yeah, part of the reason is it is an industrial and going to be needed in solar panels.
Yes.
You know any other uses for silver?
That is, I guess, the most important thing, because it's fairly new. But I think that what really moves the needle in silver whenever it does run more than the silver panel industry is as a monetary asset. So silver
Okay,
goes wild when a bunch of crazy people say that silver is money, that silver is, poor man's gold or gentleman's gold or something like that. That's when it
okay.
runs.
Well, I still believe that.
I still believe that too.
Okay, and I want to wrap it with a great call that you made, Fabi. You were talking about this Montage Gold when it was
Yeah.
50, 55 cents. We have a double here, and
Yeah.
it was a great trade. But you know what held me back from trading it? Because I've had
Tell
bulletin
me.
board experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
That anytime I have to make an appointment to get a trade off, I say, well, gosh, if I want to get out, there's not
Yes.
much liquidity there, and I could even go to a longer time frame. Um, when charts look like dots, I tend to
I
avoid them.
love it. That
You
that's what I love, Dale. Like, lack of liquidity is one of, I'm not gonna say my must-haves, okay. I'm not that much of a gambler, but it makes the stock instantly more attractive to me if I know
wow,
it's that illiquid, because I understand that whenever other people figure out that there's more value here, they're
Yeah.
going to have to bid the price up and it's going to move accordingly. So yeah, I know that to
You are,
most
you know
people
what?
like yourself.
That is so counterintuitive. You are you know what? I rarely meet people that are more contrarian than me. Okay.
I
And
have
you,
less to lose.
you definitely are. So, you know, I think that people need to follow you. And I just want to go ahead and pull up your
There it is,
website.
Fabi, the next big
Okay.
rush.
Yeah,
That's
and
us.
here you go. And I do receive your free daily,
Cool.
and that it's good stuff. And how much
Appreciate it.
time do you spend writing it every day?
Nowadays it's really it's I don't want to say automated because that's not the right word. It's well rehearsed. So I have an assistant that does the actual difficult job of putting it in a cute format. And I
Okay.
just do the picking out of the news
Oh,
and the writing.
these are the cute
Yeah, I
things.
don't. Yeah, I don't
Uh,
do that. Like I'm no good at doing that. And the actual, figuring out how to do the layout on the newsletter
yeah.
so that it's readable. I don't do any of that. So that, it takes a little bit longer, but my bit is probably depends on the news. Sometimes there's so much news out that, I spend 2 hours. And sometimes it's like 20 minutes. I know exactly which ones are the top news. It's incredible what you can learn by just reading dozens of pieces of news from the same industry every day. You pick out on what's what very quickly.
Well, I'll tell you what, Fabi, Lara, to me, the next big rush is the next time I talk to you
Awesome.
because I really enjoy it. Very interesting approach to these where people really need to be discerned. You have discernment,
Mm,
and someone like you is invaluable for their hard-earned money, even when you're speculating. And the speculation part of your investment portfolio should be the tip of the pyramid, not the base,
yes,
right?
100%.
Okay, and it's money that you can lose it all,
Yeah.
and it's not going to
And not
affect.
have to tell the wife. And
Yeah,
if
okay,
if you're
or the
scared
in
of
your case, the
divorce, yeah,
husband.
if you're scared of divorce, exactly. If you're scared of divorce, if you lose everything in one particular trade or commodity, you're doing it wrong. So
Yeah,
that's how I measure it.
all right. Wow, that's a good one. Scared of divorce. Anyway, you've got a million of them, Bobby. Really great talking to you today. I wish you nothing but success. I'm a fan.
Likewise, Dale. Thank you so much for having me on.
All right. Bobby Lara, everyone, follow her on X at the next big rush. Sign up for her newsletter and learn from her, as I do every time we talk. Thank you very much, my trading warrior sister.
Thank you.
Adios. That's a wrap, everyone.